What's up, everybody? I'm here with Connor Murray, and we are about to go super deep into actionable use cases in AI for sales reps, whether you're an SDR, account executive, or otherwise. We have made 25 out-of-the-box GPTs. That list continues to grow, and these are things we're using every single day. We're literally going to show you what we use with just the $20 a month ChatGPT plan. Connor, I know over the last 6-12 months, both you and I have gone really deep on the AI side. Maybe from your vantage point, share a little bit more about where your head's at and what people are going to get from this video.
Yeah, no, good to be back. I think a lot's changed, particularly this year in 2025. I mean, earlier this year, the extent of how I was using ChatGPT was to maybe cross-reference work I was doing myself, and just out of curiosity or interest, like, what would ChatGPT have said, or just gone in there maybe a couple times a day, if that. Where now it's gotten to the point where I'm really leaning into it. Like, I'm spending 2-3 hours a day in the tool just about every single work day. I'm no longer just going there as a point of curiosity. It's like my first stop. And I always talk about this concept of coiling the spring. A lot of people, if you're familiar with my channel, you've seen me talk about that a lot. I think ChatGPT or Claude, whatever you use, has become the new version of coiling the spring, where you can take these repeatable workflows you do every single day, whether it's email templates, cold call scripts, prepping for discovery calls, post-call recap notes, and you can instruct it, do it once, put in the upfront effort to instruct it the right way once, and save yourself literally dozens of hours of time. So that's what we want to do today, is just get right into it and show you actual use cases and how I've really, both me and Eric have really up-leveled some of these workflows, like really increased our efficiency and productivity at the same time.
Yeah, it's absolutely nuts, man. Just for everyone's reference too, there's going to be timestamps. So if you want to jump around between the use cases, you can. But we've structured it very intentionally today to show you 3 different use cases that, again, apply to both SDRs and account executives. And then also just mentioning again that we're literally doing this with the $20 a month ChatGPT plan. So you can definitely build your own GPTs, build your own projects. But we actually had so much interest from past AI videos, we decided to make AI Sales Accelerator. So we actually have a program where we walk you through how to build these in depth and give you 25 plus out of the box GPTs ready to go. If you're interested, there is more information in the description, but let's dive in, Connor. I know you've got some great use cases you're going to show us that everyone can benefit from first. Maybe set the stage for your first use case and we'll keep peeling it back.
Yeah, let's do it. So we're going to start off with a little combo punch here. This is one of the use cases I use literally on a day-to-day, and it probably saves me the most amount of time. It's probably something you do as an SDR AE. And that's 1, strategic account research, but 2, how you can take this and leverage it and then turn it into a cold email. And FYI, it also works for cold calls as well. But I want to show you how I can get an account. Maybe I identified it in my account list. I identified some trigger I found, whether it was an inbound lead or something. It made me want to look into this account. Normally, you got to go, all right, let's look up the account. Let's look in my CRM. Let's see what info I have on it. How can I position our solution and tie it to whatever I know about this account? That's going to take an hour plus of work if you want to manually go in and thoroughly research an account. So I instructed a GPT, just called it Strategic Account Research GPT. Super easy to get going. It's just going to ask for some basic information. And in this example, I'm going to use an old one if I was still working at Oracle. So I work at Oracle. I'm researching First Oklahoma Bank. It's like a regional bank in Oklahoma. I sell EPM Cloud, which is essentially financial applications. And then it'll ask you if you want triggers to, like, maybe your solution does well if there's been some M&A recently, or if a new hire is, you can call any of that out. But I'm just going to say none in this case. And it's just going to get right going. I've instructed it pretty meticulously to cite all of its sources, where it's been coming from. So you're going to get strategic overview that you can just skim through. It's not like you need all of this to write a good email. It's just good to be able to skim through some of this context. It'll link to everything and where it got it, revenue estimates, employee counts, and then it's going to start looking for detected triggers and events. It's going to look for sales implications and opportunity outlook. It's going to tie it in based on whatever company you look at or work at and whatever you sell. It's going to give you a little executive summary. The point is, I just got all of that in like 30 seconds, and I'm going to copy paste this. You don't even have to read it that carefully if you don't want to. You probably should. But now let's say I want to write a targeted email to First Oklahoma Bank. Now I'm going to go over to my cold email assistant. Again, I've trained this in my methodology, my who, why, what, assumptive, get right to the point, tell them who you are, why you're calling, what you want. We're not going to turn this into a cold email video, but it's been trained in how I like to write emails. So I don't need to ask ChatGPT to fix some super basic version it gives. I've trained it in my methodology. So now we're going to do the same thing. My name is Connor Murray, work for Oracle. My team, I sell EPM cloud on the financial applications team. And now we're going to go to prospect. We'll just call him John Smith, First Oklahoma Bank, VP of Finance, and they work in regional banking. And now below, I'm going to ask it, I'm just going to say company context and just copy paste the research that I just got from my research GPT, and it just gets right after it. It's going to offer some subject lines that are now naming specific things that it found, whether it was in its strategic plan, 10K, anything publicly its employees have said, and it's going to use that in the subject line. It's also going to use that in the email templates. So I didn't show it, but if you had just gone to ChatGPT and just said, hey, I work at Oracle, I sell EPM cloud, I'm targeting a VP of finance at First Oklahoma Bank, it's going to give you some bland, not useful email template with bullet points. It's going to have a bunch of things I don't like about email templates, just to put it lightly. And instead, now I get something that's been carefully written. So I've structured this GPT to produce a few different variations, because that's what I tend to like to do. I like to look through a few variations. It's going to name different priorities. And sometimes I like that one from that template and kind of string them together. I have them written in different ways. Again, we go way more in depth on this in AI Sales Accelerator, but just to give you a little flavor, it's going to recommend follow-ups, but you can see it's naming things that the strategic account research GPT found that First Oklahoma publicly cares about. It's not naming just generic finance priorities. It's taking what I fed it. And I do this for just about every single account. Again, I can do this for cold call scripts, whatever type of outreach I'm doing. I'm able to just within 30 seconds get some high level research that I found on the account and use that to create much more targeted email templates and cold call scripts. I can't put a hard number on how much time that saves, but over the course of weeks, months, that's literally saving probably dozens into the hundreds of hours of time per rep. So this is just one quick use case that I use literally every single day.
Yeah, incredible stuff. And I want to recap a few major things. Again, whether you're an SDR or an account executive, like this is something that is incredible, because as an account executive, I know I need to prospect, I know I need to build pipeline, but having this create it for me, again, using a GPT with your existing methodology and preferred style makes it incredibly simple. So if there's one takeaway for you listening at home, literally the $20 a month ChatGPT plan allows you to create custom GPTs. So if you sit down, you codify it to your repeatable workflows, like researching companies, making cold email scripts, like this has been incredible leverage. And again, it's something you can do for free and something we have out of the box with AI Sales Accelerator as well. So huge one here. And I think this also sets the stage because, again, once you have that account information, now, I'm sure if this is a good point to transition to the second one, we have, as an example, what we're going to show is a discovery call prep bot. And as you might imagine, we've also created one for SDRs who are preparing for cold calls. You're making tons of dials. Maybe you're calling, 5 different companies and 5 personas at each. You can very rapidly come up with context and prep for these calls on rapid fire. And aside from the time savings, it's just giving you way more depth that would have taken you so much time and inconvenience on your own. But great first point.
Yeah. So obviously we nailed the meeting with John. This lands in a big way. So we go over, now we set the meeting. Again, whether you're an SDR and you just want to help your AE prep for a call, look, they will be very appreciative of what this outputs here. Or if you're an AE like myself, this is what I'm doing every day. When I set a call and I'm setting a meeting, I've structured this in a way I like to prepare for discovery calls so that every time I book a meeting with someone, I'm not, all right, got to go to their company website. What are their strategic priorities? What does their 10K say? Things, how can I align my solution to those priorities? I've built something that's going to help me do that out of the box. So again, it's always going to ask you for some basic information. So this is John Smith, First Oklahoma Bank, and I got to add VP of Finance. First Oklahoma Bank, industry vertical. They're in regional banking. I work for Oracle, selling EPM cloud. Whoops. And I could, let's say, context, just put the same strategic company context I got, again, just using both together. So now I don't have to start from scratch every single time I book a meeting. I have something to work with. And it's not like you just blindly rely on this, but it's something out of the box that can get you going. You obviously don't need all of this anytime you prepare for a discovery call, but it's good to have at your fingertips. So it's going to give you, this is a fake person, but it's going to, that's why it says likely. But if you put in a real person and even put their LinkedIn in there, it's going to use that information as well. So it's going to give you some details on the organization. It's going to give you some high level industry trends. So not company specific yet, but it's good to scan this. And then it's going to take basically the strategic priorities it's identified that First Oklahoma Bank cares about. It's going to name 4 of them. It's going to map to your solution and how it can fit in with that priority and what the business impact is. Again, you're not just using this canned and going into the discovery call, but it's giving you ideas. And if you want to go deeper on one, you can. Again, this is all dynamic. Like I could ask it to do different things or focus on a specific priority. But from here, this is the biggest value, in my opinion, is it prepares what I like to call question funnels. So it's going to prepare question funnels to all of these strategic priorities and how your solution maps to them. It's going to funnel them out because you never know how a discovery call is going to go. You never know what priority or objective they're really going to be focused on versus another. So you're never trying to boil the ocean on these discovery calls. You're finding the 1 or 2 things they care most about and really honing in on those to set the next meeting. But you never quite know what that's going to be. But at a high level, you know what your value proposition is and what possible directions it could go. So I like to prepare targeted question funnels for each of those scenarios. And it's going to give you kind of a broad surface level question to get an idea of the current state, drill down into some of the more like an operational type, business operations type questions, and then give you a specific, more of a business impact type question for each of these question funnels. It's going to recommend some value props to emphasize, and then it's going to give you an opening script too. I kind of call this a credibility statement. That used to take a lot of time to prepare before each call, but this is kind of how I like to kick off calls where, again, don't want to turn this into a discovery video, but I think the first 1 to 2 minutes are very important. You're kind of setting the tone and your credibility. Is this going to be a meeting they actually listen to, or are they going to start checking Slack after 3 minutes? So it's going to recommend a nice, concise 30 to 60-second opening script about, it's essentially your point of view of why you set up the call. But again, it's pulling from everything above. It's going to recommend some objections. I specifically asked it not to try and handle them because that's not the purpose of this GPT, but it's going to give you an idea of what you should maybe be anticipating as potential objections so you can prepare for them. And then it's going to recommend some next steps. Again, you want to be thinking about this yourself, not just taking these, but it's meant to just give you some ideas. And it's going to give you some public resources. A lot of times that comes up on calls where you're like, I know there's some case study that we've done that would be perfect. I just can't remember what it was, but it'd be great to bring up. It's going to give you some recommended ideas based on what it can publicly find. So you have that going into the call, and you could either talk about it with them on the call or send it to them after. But this is how I would thoroughly prepare for a call, and then you can chop it down from here. But this used to take an hour of work if it was a really important call and I knew I wanted to nail it, to now, I don't know what that took, but 30 seconds of putting in basic information, and you get all of this out, and you can take it whatever direction you want. If you want to hone in on hey, let's hone in on funnel 4 and give me 6 more questions or whatever, you can do that. But it's meant to be a really good starting point and just save you a lot of time and give you something out of the box to work with.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question too for those watching as well. I think, one, this output is incredible, especially to your point that this took 30 to 60 seconds of work across the 2 GPTs to even research the account and then throw it here for the discovery call specific prep. Maybe just one example here, because I think a lot of people, again, who haven't used ChatGPT don't necessarily value or understand that now that you have this you can interact with it further. So like, what's an example that you would use here to ask it more information, or one of the ones you gave earlier where, hey, I want to get more specific on this. Could you demo that just for everyone's reference?
Yeah, I mean, let's just look at this one. Can you give me more questions to prepare for funnel 2? I believe this will be a big focus for this account. Say I know something about the account or just have a hunch. It's going to give me more questions. Now I have 3 for each one, as opposed, and that just took an additional 5 seconds. But here is where you get the initial output, and then whatever catches your eye, like we're just using a fake example right here, but you tend to know where your solution plays well or where your bread and butter is, and you can focus in on that, ask it to get more detail on the account. Here, let's see, funnel 2. Can you get like, can you give me more information you can find about the account on this specific topic? And we'll see what it comes out with. But this is the type of stuff I'll do when I'm preparing for a call. There's usually a few areas up here that catch my eye, and that's where I end up digging deeper. So it's going to give some, in this case, industry best practices on this specific topic. It's going to give more targeted discovery questions on this topic. And then realistically, this is what I do for calls. I generally have a OneNote on the side of the screen where I've copied, call it 5 to 10 of these to just have prepared, just in case, like whatever direction the call goes, I have those question funnels prepared on the side. So if I hit a dead end on one, I have a new funnel to start. I move the conversation in a different direction. Or if they're biting on that specific topic, I have questions prepared in advance to help me steer the conversation in the direction I think, or I want it to go. So this is kind of, awesome. I plug and play, and before every call, this is what I'm doing until I feel like I have what I need to go into the call, which again, now takes like 5 minutes per call as opposed to an hour if I really wanted to do it right.
This is killer, man. And again, like this was the big unlock for me is I would say contrasting styles. I think to your credit, like just high level, I'm generalizing here, but I think you're probably more detail oriented than me when it comes to documenting everything. That is one of the things as a rep, I'm really good on my feet. I'm really good improvising. And one of the biggest values for me, in addition to everything that you've just laid out, how quickly it gets you that, it really helps me get to something more concrete, especially in the example of like an email template or a cold call script. We're generating those in 5 seconds. And then instead of thinking from scratch, I've got 80% to 90% of what I need, if not ready to go out of the box. And now I can very quickly implement that. I think for me, and for those of you listening that are maybe reps that, like me, I tend to be pretty good at improvising. I keep a lot of things in my brain, but to be honest, when it comes to CRM notes, when it comes to documenting and tracking everything as I should, that's something I usually get to only when forced by management. And I'm just, quite frankly, it's not my strength. However, that being said, if you're at home trying to think, where do I start with AI? One of the most immediate benefits and biggest benefits I've gotten is the ability for it to take transcripts or tons of different notes and consolidate that information. So what I'm about to show you specifically is a CRM note taker that leading up to this, we've basically prepped for the discovery call in Connor's case. I'm going to show you how I take an actual 60-minute transcript and immediately get all of my CRM notes. But I would just add, there's lots more bots that we built in AI Sales Accelerator as well. I'll just share my screen to actually kind of show this in further depth. All of these ones with the higher levels colored logos are part of what we built in the community. But aside from what I'm going to show you here with the CRM note taker, like another one that I've actually used a lot, that's actually, I don't believe is pinned here at the moment. I have one that actually takes a bunch of information, whether it's transcripts or account notes and all of these different things. And it takes this stuff that would take me like 30 to 45 minutes to think through again, read through again, and sift into like a 1-page executive summary. I have it actually take all of those different notes and consolidate it into a 1-page summary for my manager, for an executive at the account that I'm trying to break into or get their attention. There's just so many use cases for those of you that, again, are good sellers, but a little bit lazy, if we're being honest, on the details of like taking notes. This is what has been a major unlock for me. So similar workflow here with our Discovery CRM note taker. I've set it up to where you just say, hey, give it a transcript and it will look at all of the notes. So I'm going to upload a transcript text file here. You can either do a .txt file or just copy paste the raw text into it. And I just want to add before I hit start on this thing too, I know there's tools out there like Gong, like other call recorders, and they do an okay job, obviously, of capturing the transcript. But when it comes to actually having it write a follow-up email like you want, or actually capture Medic, Bant, command of the message, or some of the more standard sales frameworks out there, you have to really sit there and play with it, and or just start from scratch anyway. So again, this is not just another tool that summarizes stuff generically. It gives it exactly in the format that I want it. So it's going to scan this. It's going to look through all of these different notes. It lays out all of your participants. So if you need to make those in Salesforce, it's got key discussion points. And then, when it actually has the CRM notes that you need, these are typically the things that you have to have in your deal if you're working with like Salesforce, HubSpot, etc. So next steps, current state, negative consequences, future state, positive business outcomes, all of your Medic qualification material here as well. I designed this with the goal being to literally copy paste from this to your Salesforce and CRM note taker, Bant as well. We've got a follow-up email that's in depth, and then also a calendar invite based on the next steps that are discussed. And to your point, or Connor, I know you mentioned this earlier, and to some of the things we were showing, let's say, hey, you look at this and it's not exactly what you want, or as an example, you need to really quickly get more detailed information. You don't just have to take this and then play with it. You can say, hey, my management team requires Medic notes and I need a bit more detail. Please rewrite the Medic notes with 2 sentences for each point. And immediately now I've got more depth, again, ready to copy paste. You can see how it has the whole transcript. It's referencing that transcript again, and it gives it even more detail. So again, the goal is out of the box, ready to go, and pending, your management and how much detail you need to have in your criteria. I copy paste this stuff, it's ready to go. But the point being is you can still modify this data further. And instead of tons of value, but I would just say, obviously, from summarizing this right away, that's immense value. But I'm also the kind of person that if I have a great call at 11 a.m., but I have to jump immediately into another call, next thing I know, I'm eating dinner and I'm like, oh shit, I didn't put my notes in from this call. Now I've got to probably re-listen to the call, and or I do it first thing in the morning before I log in the next day. Not only does it take away just the time it takes to organize all of this, but also the mental burden of having to go back if you don't do it immediately. And you then have to go back, refresh yourself on everything that happened. And this is just immensely valuable to me, who probably runs and guns a little bit too much and doesn't document along the way. So
this one is such a game changer. You're giving me too much credit. I'm not a good documenter. I hate running a good call, preparing for it the right way, but it's hard for me to fully immerse myself if I'm trying to take notes at the same time. That's always been a weakness of mine. And now I don't even have to worry about that. I just take notes on the really important parts of the call that stick out, that whether it's follow-up items I need to get on top of, I'll just write those in bullet points and just be comforted knowing in the background, I got the transcripts I'm just going to download after the call, and my manager is not going to need to haggle me about updating the future state or positive business outcomes in Salesforce, because I'm just going to be able to take those and copy paste them, put them in there. So that one.
I would add too, it's once you've uploaded that transcript and gotten those notes, you can even say, hey, I need a 3-sentence Slack message update for my manager who is waiting to hear the results of the call. It's such an unlock. There's so many things you can design. And I think that's the call to action for those of you trying to get better with AI, which is one, just use it. There's literally no risk if you don't get the result you want. Just hopefully this shows you that it is possible. And two, I think it's really, if you haven't spent the time with it and designed your own GPT, really ask yourself, what are the most burdensome things you have to do repeatedly, day in, day out? And usually for sales reps of any kind, it is that note-taking stuff. It is the detailed account research. It is the custom messaging. Those are points where I typically get lazy. And yeah, you design a couple GPTs around that and your life is going to change. But that's my 2 cents. So
no, well said. I don't really have much more to add other than that. You don't have to use 20 GPTs out of the gate. Your top 2 to 3 use cases, we try to show the top ones we use it for. Those alone will save you hours and hours of time, and you'll just get better at using them the more you do it. So
Yeah, totally. And obviously, there's tons of resources on our channels too regarding other AI use cases that we have. And if you want to expedite your time to ramp up, that's why we created AI Sales Accelerator. There's 25 out of the box GPTs for SDRs, account executives, and really any sales position that you can have. But also, again, hopefully this video gives you enough inspiration to where if you want to start it on your own, you've got a great place where you can take it and very quickly implement this yourself. But Connor, always great catching up. Solid episode. If there's anything else, feel free. But yeah, maybe we cap it there.
Yeah, no, I think we're good. Appreciate you having me back on.